Welcome back to BZen TV. So we have a great show for you guys tonight. Let's get into it. The holiday season is what most people would consider the most wonderful romantic time of the year. And it is, but you guys might not know that according to experts, it's also a time when relationship triggers can come to the surface, especially if people are newly dating. So I've invited celebrity dating and relationship expert, author Monique Kelley, here to help us navigate the holiday season drama-free. I am so excited that we have Monique Kelley here, author and dating expert. She is the writer behind the blog Confessions of a Serial Dater in LA, and she's also the resident love expert on some of our favorite shows, including, but not limited to, you guys, Daily Pop, Nightly Pop, The Real. I mean, Monique, you have been everywhere sharing your wisdom. You also have a book called Reality in Chaos, available now at most major booksellers. Monique, thank you for coming here to share your wisdom with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, Monique, I'm really excited about this topic because according to most experts, even though the holidays seem like, the most fun time of the year, so romantic, this time of year can actually bring up a lot of anxieties for relationships, especially the newer ones. So help us navigate this.
So here's the thing with the holiday season, especially the holidays of 2021, everything is going to be exacerbated by at least 100%. Because you figure last year's holidays, most people were on lockdown. You couldn't really go anywhere. So now it's like everyone wants to break free, break loose, and just do it up. So the usual holiday triggers that you would have had pre-pandemic are now 10 times worse, especially in a new relationship. Because what's happening is you have these unrealistic expectations. You have your own holiday dream of what holidays should look like. And what happens is you put a lot of unnecessary pressure on a new relationship that could ultimately ruin a relationship that could blossom so well.
Yes. So let's start with the gifts, Monique. Yeah. I feel like that can be an area where, especially if it's a newer relationship, everybody starts getting kind of nervous about what they should be getting the significant other. How big do they need to go? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so when it comes to a gift, if you have had less than 5 dates with the person, don't expect a gift. Don't talk about gifts. If they decide to give you a gift, great. If you want to get a little silly, fun, non-romantic gift or a card, do something like that. But what happens is that's a lot of pressure, especially on guys. When you start dating someone during the holidays, it's no different than if you started dating the person in March, okay? And, something comes up, you're not expecting gifts. So what you have to try to do is not put this unrealistic expectation on a new relationship just because it's the holiday. So if you do a gift, do something silly and fun, but don't expect anything. And if you give a gift and the person doesn't give it back in return, don't take it personal. Just say, I just love the holidays. I'm all about gifts. It's just a silly little gift. Don't make it a big deal.
Cute. I love that idea. Keep it fun, keep it light.
Light and breezy. Light and breezy.
I love it. I love it. What about when it comes to the family? Okay, so let's say you are wanting to spend the holidays with your significant other. You guys are still in the dating stage, but you're past those 5 dates. What do you think people should keep in mind when they start navigating these types of conversations?
Okay, so again, if you just started dating someone in a regular circumstance and it's just been a few months, you would not expect to be meeting the family, right? I mean, hopefully, I think that's, if you are, then we're going to have we'll do another segment on that.
Right. We'll come back next week. Tune back in.
Yeah, that'll be the next segment, girl.
Yeah,
so exactly. If you are just starting to date someone, you should not be expecting to meet the family. And here's what happens, especially for women. We get nervous about the holidays because we know that question that every single woman gets, and single men. You're smart, you're beautiful, you're successful. How is it that you're still single?
I hate this question.
It's nails on a chalkboard.
The worst.
It's the worst. And it's just people who ask it, are kind-hearted, but we got to get that question off of the table. Just for people who are not single, stop asking your single friends that question. So you start feeling like I need to bring someone around, let the family know that I'm dating someone. So don't expect it, but I think it's important that you're communicating with each other during the time. So even if you're talking or you're texting and you're having a silly family story that someone in your family's done, like my aunt, she's already drunk, or, my other auntie, she doesn't make the potato salad the way that's supposed to be made. Make it fun so you can kind of introduce the person to your family in conversation, so that when it's time to meet the family, they'll know those different people. So I think it's important that you have those expectations of not meeting the family, but talking about the family, because then you can bond on typical family dynamics during a holiday in general.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That is such a good idea. So I have to ask you, this is probably more for the people who are in relationships, I'd say, or let's hope. We like to do something on the YouTube channel called the Tarot Tea Time. And I go through and I dissect different headlines and what's going on to do a little tarot reading. And we've been focusing this week on the family drama between Gigi, Zayn, and Yolanda Hadid.
Girl.
And that is like everyone's worst nightmare, right? Like when you are with the person that you're with, the baby daddy, your husband, boyfriend, whomever, and your mother don't get along. And I think there are several ways that can play out in different family dynamics, because not everybody gets along, right? We wish. So when that happens, when there's conflict in a family situation and we're all forced together during the holidays, do you have any tips for navigating that with grace, for, being in the middle, or, trying to bring people back together? What are your thoughts there? Because that's tough.
That is really hard. And here's the thing that you have to remember. When your family does not like your significant other and you know it, stop putting your significant other in a position where they have to deal with the family either alone or having them have to explain things. It is your responsibility to stand up for your partner, to have those uncomfortable conversations and not put them in an uncomfortable situation. So if you know that the dynamic is a little funky, a little tricky, again, have realistic expectations. Don't think because it's the holiday season, everybody's going to act like they have some sense now. The holidays is time where people usually show out even more. Because
sometimes it's worse. Exactly.
It's worse. So don't think because it's a holiday, it's going to be a Hallmark. They ain't getting along. If they didn't get along before the holidays, they certainly not going to get along during the holidays, right?
Right.
So it is your responsibility to protect your partner and also make your partner feel like you have their back. I think it's super important that, especially with men and their mamas, men love their mamas.
Yes.
But make sure that you let your partner feel like you have their back. It doesn't mean that you're turning your back on your mom. It doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful to your mom, but make sure your partner feels respected, loved, and protected.
I love that. I do. And I so agree with you that we have a responsibility when we bring someone into our family. We can't just leave them to the wolves, so to speak, and say, okay, good luck. You don't like my mom, y'all work it out. I agree with you that we have a responsibility to, make that person feel comfortable and loved and cared for. They're new here. We already know the dynamics. We've been through it before. So
we know our family is crazy. We know the people that are crazy. We know their triggers. We've had decades with them. So don't think someone who's just coming in is going to solve the problem,
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love your realistic take on helping us stay grounded here. What are your thoughts on communicating healthy boundaries with people in your life?
I think it's so important that you continue the lines of communication. What happens with a lot of relationships when we start to freak out is if you have established a routine in your relationship, you wake up in the morning, you text each other, you call each other, you're the last call of the evening, you guys text throughout the day, and suddenly that dynamic changes. That routine suddenly comes to a halt with no communication, no explanation. That's when we have a tendency to get in our head and wonder what in the world is going on. So it's important, even though it's the holidays, that you maintain your routine that you had before with your partner. If things are going to switch up or you get busy, let them know you're busy. Heck, sometimes even call them so they can hear people in the background talking, but don't drastically change the routine. That's number one. Number two, make sure that if you aren't together in the holidays, because it's a new relationship, that you let the person know, well, next year, hopefully we'll be together, it will be different. You know what I'm saying? So that you have something to look forward to. also
Yes.
make sure, New Year's Eve is coming up. That's a big thing. It's okay to ask someone that you're dating, especially if you've been on a few dates and you guys are talking consistently. It's okay to say, I really want us to do something together for the new year, so that you can set that expectation early. And for all they might have had other plans beforehand. So don't get offended if they're like, I made plans to travel out of the country or do whatever. It's nothing against you, but let them know that that's something that you would like to do. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't look thirsty saying that you would like to see them.
Right. I feel like it is so much better to be upfront and honest, and just real about how you feel than hold it in. Because, we all do that. We'll hold it in a little bit and then it comes out sideways. And then we actually do look thirsty.
You do. And saying you want to see someone for the holiday or see someone for New Year's Eve, you're not telling the person your wedding gown's in the purse and you want to go to the courthouse and get married. You're just saying, let's spend time together on New Year's Eve.
Right, which is lovely. And if you guys are in a relationship or dating, I'm sure that they would feel flattered and they probably want the same thing. So exactly. I love that. We've got to be confident and communicative. So Monique, do you mind if we switch gears a little bit? Because we all need a good holiday read. And your book, Reality and Chaos, like I said earlier, is available now. I just want to read a little bit from your book, just a little bit of the tagline here. Ah! And I'm excited. I'm like, we got to get this. I'm getting all my friends this book in their stockings too. What happens when the life you thought you were going to have is hit with the reality in chaos? Through life's unexpected twists and turns, one thing is consistent for these women: their friendship and sisterhood. I love that your book is a fictional take on some real world situations. Great book to escape in during the holidays and just de-stress. Tell us about your book and the inspiration behind it.
Oh, so what I loved about the book, I wrote a blog for years, and I loved writing my blog, Confessions of a Serial Dater in LA. But for me, there were certain places I wouldn't go just because I would want my mom and my grandma to read the blog and not be like, what are you putting out on the internet? But when you write a novel and it's fictional, you can go anywhere you want. That's number one. Number two, I wanted to show the dynamics of friendship and sisterhood, because so much of what's on media right now shows women fighting each other and not empowering each other, when really the majority of women, we have these great friendships. So the book is pretty much about these three ladies. They go to college together. You graduate from college. You're like, my life is going to look like this. It's going to be like this. I'm going to have this many kids, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to each of these ladies hitting 40 and the reality of what their life is. One person's going through a marriage that is not at all what she expected. Another person is dealing with a sibling with mental health issues. Another person is dealing with dreams that never came true. And their friendship is what keeps them going during this rough time in their lives and helps them get through the reality in chaos.
Wow. Yeah. And I feel like there's really something that everyone can identify with in your book. We do go through these ups and downs. And I thought it was so interesting to read about you and find that, you were a studio exec by day, blogger by night, and then you wrote this book and became this, huge expert who goes on and shares all of these amazing love and relationship tips. What a transformation that you've had too in claiming, your most authentic self. So can you tell us about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When I was married, I got divorced. And when I got divorced, that's when I started the blog. And what I found was dating, for a lot of women, we are not comfortable embracing where we are in the journey. Some women, we let fear dictate what we do because we're scared we're not going to find any better. We're worried about what the future holds, or we don't enjoy being where we are in the very moment. And I found that with a lot of dating experts, for one, some dating experts have been married for 25 years plus. They don't understand what it feels like to be dating now with social media, texting, all these new variables. Then also you have male dating experts, all due respect. Sometimes they can be a little condescending and judgy. So I wanted to be the voice for women where they could feel comfortable talking to someone who has been in the trenches with them. And I also wanted women to know that wherever they are in their journey, to embrace it and know that at the end, you're only going to be single for a small amount of time. I promise you, you will. And enjoy where you are.
That is beautiful. Yes. Enjoy the moment. Oh, that's so important. That's so important, Monique. Well, before I let you go, I have one last thing to ask you. So
this is fun. Yes.
This is fun. I'm having a great time with you. You've got to come back. So Paul Rudd was just named People's Sexiest Man Alive. First of all, what are your thoughts on that? I know whether you think he's the sexiest or not. What are your thoughts on that? And then I would like to know what you think is sexy in a man and what some of the green flags would be for everybody out there, maybe looking to meet someone this holiday season.
Okay, so I think Paul is a very good looking man. And for some women out there, he is the sexiest man alive. So own it, claim it. I mean, for me, I have a different type,
Right.
But I do too. But for some people, he is the sexiest man alive. And what makes him seem sexy to me is that he seems like a genuinely nice person. That is very sexy. For me, when I'm looking for someone, aside from like the usual, people look at visual, attractive, handsome, tall, all that stuff. But I'm looking for a man who's a good communicator. I want a man who's honest. I want a man who is funny, enjoys life, a man who supports my career. For a lot of women, when you're a successful woman, you're in the public eye, you want a man who is strong and can handle supporting you in the public eye. You have to have that. And I think
you do.
Honesty and good communication are huge. I like to say this for a lot of women, especially as we get older, women of a particular age, we have to be very careful about these lists because sometimes you have these long lists that can be somewhat delusional, that don't really tackle the things that are important. Yeah, obviously you want to be attracted to, but make sure you're looking at the person's character and who they are. Does this person want a long-term committed relationship? Has this person been honest in previous relationships? Do they have a pattern of cheating? You got to look at the bigger picture outside of just the fluff, ladies.
100%. And then that's when we meet someone that really makes us happy. Exactly. And we have to be open to true happiness. It's not always what's on paper. I totally agree. Totally agree. Well, yes, we know. Well, Monique, you are such a delight. Thank you again for coming to BZen TV to share all these tips with us. Where can we follow you, order your book, stay up with your blog? Just tell us all the things.
Okay, please follow me on Instagram. I am at Cocktails and Confessions. My book is available on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble. And of course, you can read all of my blog posts throughout the years on Confessions of a Serial Dater in LA.com.
It's so juicy. I love your blog. It's so good. I went on a deep dive. I just
That's the older ones. You got to go to the post from years ago.
Okay.
Really going in.
Thank you, Monique. I appreciate you so much. And I'm sure we will be connecting with you again soon.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Britt.
For the full interview, check out the BZen with Britt podcast.